Good evening, everyone, and welcome to This Week from Rockdale. And I am your host, Larry Cox, and it's great to have everyone here with me this evening. I'm going to start out by welcoming those who have said hello in the chat, and it's also this time for me to remind you to like and share the show so we can grow the audience so that people can know about some of the things we're going to talk about here tonight on This Week from Rockdale. So first, I'd like to say good evening to William Campbell. Good evening to Dan Burks. Hello, Cheryl Moulton. Hello, Marie Withers. Good evening, Danielle Munez from way up north. Good evening, Tina Hobbs. Good evening, Clayton Orwig. Glad to have you here this evening. Kathy Robinson, nice to see you. Gloria English, nice to see you tonight. Voices for Rockdale, Miss Corliss Turner, great to have you here this evening. It's good to have all my friends joining us tonight, and we're going to talk about a few things this evening, see what's going on. Catherine Lynn, great to have you this evening. Also, great to have everybody on here tonight. We're going to talk about a few things tonight that may spur some interest in the community and see what we can get going on. First thing I want to address this evening is I got a message from someone that asked me an important question. And they said, Larry, what's the significance of getting back 1400 Parker Road? Thora Skelton, nice to have you here this evening. You know, with Charlotte Gillard, nice to have you here this evening. So that's a very interesting question. Why is it important that the citizens of Rockdale County regain control of 1400 Parker Road, the most valuable piece of property in the county, which the county happens to own, and they decided to give away to Restoration Storehouse. And let's say it is a giveaway. If you give something to somebody for $10 a month, that value is, you can't quite make. I don't think you can measure the potential value of that property. Let's talk, for example, this is something we could have done with the property. We could have used that property to actually build the courthouse that these clowns are going to attempt to build in Old Town Conyers, which we could have had that property, excellent parking, excellent access, great location to build, and we own the property. We would not have to purchase additional property. Let's talk about possible future use. Let's just say one of the ways we could use this, let's say we wanted to bring a community college to Rockdale County. That is a great location for a college campus over there at 1400 Parker Road. Let's look at another example of how we could possibly, they talk about the administrative buildings being in disarray. We moved the Board of Elections to some place that we have to pay $30,000 a month rent for. So let's say here in the future we want to build an admin building for Rockdale County. 1400 Parker Road would be an excellent place to do that because we already own the property. Good evening. Alex McDonald has joined us with the TPS report. Alex, I'm talking about right now, someone asked an interesting question today. They sent me a message, and why is it important to get 1400 Parker Road back to the citizens of Rockdale County? And I went through the process of explaining a few things. If this would have been corporate America and the board of a corporation would have given away the most valuable asset that corporation owns, they would have been fired. They would have been fired. If the CFO and CEO of the corporation would have done this, then the board of directors at their next meeting, I don't even think it would have happened. They would have called an emergency meeting and canned these characters on the spot. So in private sector, it will never happen that your most valuable asset is given away for nothing. There are just so many things, like we said, that could have been done and still can be done at Parker Road. Yeah, and there's still 20 to 30 acres over there that's available at Parker Road, as Bill Campbell just said. But when you gain back that area and that one parking area that's in front of the building, then it just makes that a much more attractive piece of property to do so many more things with. Like I said, we rent so many pieces of property. We rent a lot of stuff right now to do things with in the county when we own a lot of small buildings and this and that that's maybe doesn't make sense, that we sell some of those, do an administrative thing through SPLOST, of course, at Parker Road. Like I said, we talk about, those are the kind of things that we would want to do. And well, like I said, I'm going to talk again about running for chair of the Board of Commission. As running for chair of the Board of Commission, one of the things I'm going to pledge to do is take back that property and then utilize that property on behalf of the citizens of Rockdale County to find effective ways to use that property, plus utilize that 20 to 30 acres without building. And if we do build a dam park over there, and before I'm elected chairman, then as soon as I'm elected chairman, we will do away with that nonsense. That is ridiculous. We're not going to have that in Rockdale County, and we don't need another park in Rockdale County. Well, we have too many. One of my plans also would be to reduce the number of parks in Rockdale County. Have 2 or 3 in the north, 2 or 3 in the south, couple in the middle. Call it a day. Have 8 or 9 parks in the county and get rid of a dozen of them. That's what I would propose we do, because we do not need 18, 20 parks in Rockdale County. Then somebody told me the other day that the city has 6 parks. That is ridiculous. You add the 18 or 20 that the county has, the 6 that the city has, and the Rockdale County has 25 or 26 parks. Doug, you say auction it off and buy an ideal property. Are you talking about what auctioning off? Parker Road is the ideal property. Parker Road has a 4-lane highway. It has access. It has infrastructure capabilities. So that's why Parker Road is the most valuable asset that the Rockdale County owns, is because of location and where it's at. So I don't know. I just think that that what we need to do in Rockdale County is really sit down and look at our land use, what we own, what we realistically could do, and what we need to do with this property. Clayton Norwich, the number of parks is ridiculous. I'll get with the person. Somebody asked me where are the 6 parks in the city. I'll get with the person that got me that information, and we can identify that at a later point as to where the 6 parks are that are within the city limits of Congress. So we'll identify those at a later point. But guys, I'm just telling you right now that in Rockdale County, we can spend our money much wiser than we do now. Tina Hobbs just asked an excellent question. Who uses these parks? These parks are very underutilized. And the teens say there's Charlotte Gellert. The teens say there's nothing to do in Rockdale County. It's because teens don't utilize outdoor facilities any longer. Parks are not something that teens do. When we talk about these parks, I mean, that's just something we don't do anymore. People just don't do parks. And then when they were in their heyday, I think that we've got way too many parks for what would have been the heyday of the park era in the United States. Rockdale County has overparked it. We've utilized too much of our resources and spent too much money on parks. And at the end of the day, we spend too much of our money on of our SPLOST funds on parks when they're not utilized. So I think we really need to step back and look at what we need to do and how we need to do it and where the money actually needs to be spent. Because I am with a lot of you folks. I just do not believe that parks are one of the ways that we should be spending a lot of our resources and where they should be allocated. I think that we need to really take a look at a lot of things we do, how we spend different monies, and revamp this, and do the things that we should do for Rockdale County. So I want to talk a little bit about something that somebody had, brought it to my attention, but I'd actually saw a couple of articles before they brought it to my attention. And that's to talk about uh, Deputy Sheriff Eric Tolbert, who was a K-9 officer here in Rockdale County. And what we've learned about Deputy Tolbert is here in the last, this June, that he basically executed 3 of his own dogs through negligence, personal, his personal dogs. That he had a shed, that he allowed the dogs to be in the shed in a 90-degree heat. They were, they were exposed to extreme temperatures, and the dogs died of heat exposure. He had 3 American Bulldogs who died of heat exposure due to negligence. He in one of the dogs he threw in a trash can to dispose of. He had put after one of the dogs died, when he had a fan in there, he removed it and put an air conditioner in the building and didn't do it properly, and the dogs passed away. The sheriff's department found out about this through a Facebook post, and then I guess they go and check on the canine unit, and it's not faring much better. It's tied up out in the heat, and so they reclaim this dog, get the dog away from him, and they do an internal investigation, and they go to attempt to press charges. Well, none of the judges in Rockdale County would execute a warrant or press or do the charges, because they said lack of evidence, and there was a conflict because the sheriff's department did not have the GBI do the investigation. The prosecuting attorney's office also cited lack of evidence for not prosecuting the case. So the sheriff's office did suspend Deputy Tolbert for 32 hours, and they reassigned him. And I think since he's actually been put on administrative leave. But this is pathetic. That this is one of those things. Does the sheriff's office not know the proper protocol? Should they really be investigating one of their own? Shouldn't they have immediately called the GBI in to do this investigation so there wouldn't be a conflict of interest? Why is there lack of evidence? Why was there not enough evidence to prosecute this individual? And we've got an individual who has been responsible. He's been a deputy for 7 years, in the K-9 unit for 5 years as a K-9 handler. This is an individual who has been responsible for taking care of a valuable asset. These K-9 dogs are very valuable assets. And not only that, they're dogs. I mean, dogs, I've got a shirt that says dogs are the best people. And I firmly believe that. I mean, I hold my dogs in more regard than I do a lot of people. And actually, my dogs I hold in much higher regard than I do the 3 clowns that reside over the establishment at 1901 Main Street. 901 Main Street. So, those clowns have far less status in my life than my dog Tucker Cox. And just for you guys to know, Tucker Cox did get around 20 votes, I know of, for state court judge against Richard Reed. Now, those votes didn't count because he wasn't an official write-in candidate. But Tucker Cox did get 20 votes for state court judge. So so he's my state court judge. Tucker Cox, state court judge. It's my opinion. So doesn't matter what I think of. It's the other guy is the state court judge. But we go back to Eric Tolbert here. That's ridiculous that the sheriff's department can't handle this investigation properly. So let me just ask you, if they can't handle this investigation properly, what makes us have any confidence that this sheriff's department is handling any investigations properly? If they couldn't get this, which should be a slam dunk case, prosecuted, what makes us have any confidence that they investigate anything properly in this county? So I ultimately have a lack of trust and a lack of confidence in most elected officials in this county. I actually do. Um, I think that we deserve better as citizens of Rockdale County. We deserve elected officials who are competent, who we feel know how to do their jobs, and that we know how to represent us properly. That just really, really bothered me when I read this article about Deputy Eric Tolbert and his mistreatment of dogs, and then also him being a canine handler for the last 5 years for Rockdale County Sheriff's Department, and it's clear this individual should be nowhere near man's best friend. He should be allowed nowhere near a canine unit. He should be nowhere allowed not to own a dog. He has distributed. He has shown that he can't be trusted. So guys, this is disturbing. It bothers me, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. I wanted to talk about this story so that you had awareness of it, and that how your tax dollars aren't being spent properly. That if the sheriff's department can't conduct this investigation when it should be a slam dunk, can't get charges filed, lack of evidence, and the fact that that they should have brought in an outside agency. This is ridiculous. So I'm asking each and every one of you, send some letters to the sheriff's department. Let them know that this is not acceptable to you. Let them know that we expect our tax dollars to be spent better, and this is crazy. I want to talk about another thing that bothers me about the sheriff's department, and that's their vehicle use and vehicle. These guys play smash up derby with all these cars, and they just go to Splost and get them new cars done. That's ridiculous, and that needs to come to an end. They need to get a vehicle allowance. They need to teach defensive driving to these characters. They need to not be playing smash up derby with these patrol cars. And if you can't behave responsibly with a vehicle, because how many of these guys have been busted DUI recently? So so how many of them have wrecked these vehicles or been in collisions with them, and they've covered up the fact that they've been intoxicated? Because the only reason we know of these other guys being intoxicated is the fact that other agencies have actually busted them. Let's go to something here. I talked about this the other day, and our friend Alex McDonald has actually did an ORR, and let's look at this. This is interesting. Okay. I submitted a request Tuesday for a list of expenses related to Ozzy's birthday bash. I got a response on Friday. No records responsive to your request. Can you believe that? No records responsive to your request. Do you guys? That is ridiculous. Have you guys all saw the flyer that was issued by the Rockdale County, by Oz Nesmus on some of his pages? I've got a thing on my email. I'm going to look here in a second, and I'm going to bring up a copy of that flyer. So let me do some searching over here on this other side. So, you know how it is, guys. I'm not as talented as our friend Alex is when it comes to this stuff. So let me try to find this. But isn't it ridiculous? We all know that this character is not doing anything but he is just piggybacking on this thing, and it's ridiculous. And I got it right now, guys. We're getting ready to do the share screen because I do know enough to know how to do that. So look at this, guys, right? So we got this right here. You know, Chairman Oz Nesbitt, 2022 birthday bass featuring Philippa live in concert. Sunday, September 25th, and 5 to 7 p.m. Costly Meal Park, beach entrance. So, you know, look, I mean, it's very apparent. This character, you see it? If he's advertising it right here, he's advertising this as his birthday bash. So you know, guys, how many of us could get by with this kind of nonsense of trying to do these things? You know what I mean? How many of us could piggyback? So great thing, Alex. I will put, and we all know this is not true. So Alex replied back, I assume this means that the chairman is covering the expenses himself, which case, please send me copies of the invoices for park rental and fees and proof of the payment. And you know, Alex, you might even get the no response at all. They might not even, I don't even think they're going to respond back to you with that because I think we all know that he hasn't paid for anything. He's piggybacking on taxpayers' dollars and throwing his own birthday party. Because I said this the other day. Alex, you remember back in 2018 when you and I went out to there to shoot a couple of videos. And at that point, back in 2018, you and I knew this was going to be a private park. We knew that this was going to be a park that these county officials were going to use. We saw it. But remember, the guy wanted us to go and get a permit to do the filming of those commercials. And, you know, when we, you know, sort of blew him off and just, gave him, and you did a little bit of talking around him and he just went away. Well, let me tell you, if you go out there today, you're not taking a video, taking pictures or anything unless you pay them a fee. If Doreen Williams has had events out there, the chairman, he's had events out there. The park is closed most of the time to the citizens of Rockdale County because they've got these special events, closed events. Park still doesn't make any money, but you, the average citizen of Rockdale County, you can't go piggyback off something over there and have a birthday bash. Why don't you try that and see what happens to you? You try putting up a flyer like that, you're piggybacking off of that. Not going to happen. The chairman can do that because, you know what? Him and that board of commission treat that as a private park. And, you know, if we've paid close, when you talk about renovations and what they paid, that's $5 million investment that the citizens of Rockdale County have into that they don't get to see any use of. They don't get to use that property or that facility because it is virtually a private park for the use of the Board of Commission. They got their own private little facility. So, you know, that's one of the things that needs to be changed. I want to just say that this is ridiculous. And I do want to address something that was referred to in here just now. Cheryl Garcia asked a question. What's the status of the forensic audit? And Voices for Rockdale has responded. Cheryl, not a word. 2 weeks have passed. So 2 weeks have passed, not anything. I think also, Corliss, you can correct me in here if you want, but I know Voices for Rockdale wanted to also do some training with some individuals, and they wanted to set up some Zoom meetings with directors to find out, you know, what these departments did and such and this and that. And I think the county has been on a little bit of a stall tactic with Voices for Rockdale for that too. because when they tell you they want you to know what they're doing, they really don't want you to know what they're doing. And in the past, the chairman has made this thing when people were running for office. Well, why don't you come by and see what we do so you know how government is actually run? Well, I've made this comment, and I'll make this comment again for the next 2 years. That when I officially run for chairman of Rockdale County, I won't be going to the Board of Commission or any of the departments to find out what they're doing, because immediately when I take office, we'll quit doing what they're doing, because most likely it's not legal, it's not ethical, and it's not the way to run government. So I don't need to know what they're doing, because I know one thing: it's not the right way to run government, and we will stop doing whatever they're doing. That's what I pledge to you guys. So, I just think it's ridiculous. And Doug Witham made a great comment just now. Let's make sure that this is his last birthday bash. And I agree with that. Let's make sure that the chairman has limited access moving forward to costly meal, because we're going to vote him out of office. And that's what he needs to not be a public servant. I told you guys, if these three individuals, this would be the private sector, and they were applying for those jobs, they wouldn't get a first interview. These clowns would not get a first interview, especially the chairman as the CFO, CEO of a corporation. And that's what basically the way Rockdale has it set up is the chairman is the chief executive officer of the Rockdale County if it was a corporation. He wouldn't get an interview as a groundskeeper if this guy was actually trying to get an interview to get employment with the county. Wouldn't get an in, because you go and look back at the sexual predator crap that he's got going on from being a disgraced law enforcement officer from Augusta. The domestic violence issues in the county when he was post 1 commissioner. This guy, you wouldn't select him to be interviewed for an entry level position. More or less get an interview for the CEO position of this county. It is ridiculous. So this is what we need to do. We need to keep the pressure up. Laura Skelton, what could we possibly do that would make a difference until time to vote again? So what we do is we need to put pressure on these individuals, right? We need to let them know that we're watching them, we're paying attention, like the things that Voices for Rockdale are doing right now. They've requested, the forensic audit, people requested. Voices for Rockdale are putting pressure on them. At the end of the day, I don't think they'll do a forensic audit. That needs to be, keep people bringing up and reminded, especially in 24 when the election cycle comes. Then also people will ask, what else can we do? We keep the pressure up. Corliss had asked about, wanting to have these meetings with these directors to know what they're doing. They're not going to have these meetings with these directors because they don't want you to know what they're really doing. Now, they have these Citizens Academy that you go to, and that's all BS. That's smoke and mirrors. These individuals do not have the best interest of anybody in Rockdale County at heart. And that's just the fact, guys. And as soon as we realize it, the better off we'll be. There's a lot of people, and they've been wanting to have meetings with these individuals and talk with them. And the only reason these Board of Commission members want to have meetings with you, they want to find out what you're up to so that they can start planning to defend against it. That's why these individuals will want to have some initial meetings with you, because they're going to want to find out what your plans are so they can defend it. That's what they want to do. Bill Campbell just says we need a Citizens Financial Oversight Committee. I agree 100%, Bill. We need to keep asking for that. But under this administration, you are not going to get a Citizen Financial Oversight Committee. That's basically what the Rockdale County Water Resources Board was, and Rockdale Water and Sewer Authority. That's what it was. It was a financial oversight to make sure the monies were being allocated properly and spent properly. And this Board of Commission made sure that board doesn't exist, does it not? They make sure that this board does not exist. And that is just crazy. Cheryl, yeah, we'll talk about, So she was unable to attend the courthouse committee meeting. Has anyone asked? But they'll just tell you that nothing else will be considered. They're not going to consider anything else but Old Town. That's off the table, guys. We are going to get a courthouse rammed down our throat in Old Town Conyers. And that's going to be another reason we should not re-elect Oz Nesbitt in 2024, because they got their PFA. They introduced and are going to spend SPLOST money not improperly. They got the PFA, which is $110 million, which is nowhere near going to build what they want to build. We're going to get a building somewhat built in Old Town. They're going to have to go back to the legislature and say, we need additional funds. And the state's going to have to go along with it, because they can't leave a half-built facility in Old Town Conyers. So they're going to grant them change the legislation, let them increase the amount, the PFA, and we are going to be saddled with a $500 million in debt eventually through this PFA. I and Alex McDonald have not been wrong one bit about what this county has done with the PFA and the SPLOST. I challenge anybody out here to provide information that we have been wrong about anything that we have seen they're doing and told you, or have projected they were going to do. We have been 100% on track with what these clowns are doing. And I'll tell you, there is no way $110 million will build what they want. It's going to be a shortfall, and they will come back, demand additional funds to finish their Taj Mahal. So that's what's going on, guys. So we are not going to be able to do anything about that. But you know what? Charlotte Grellick, there's 237,000 square feet building so far from the admin judicial task force. Let me put that up there. That's what they say they need so far. 237,000 square feet. Alex, if you're on here, what's a 237,000 square foot building cost in Old Town? What do you think the number is going to be? Alex is in this thing. He should be able to let us know a rough estimate of a square foot if you're still here. If you're still here, Alex, and you can give us a rough number, I'd appreciate it. If you can't, just tell us you can't, and you'll figure it out later. But guys, I'm telling you right now, this is ridiculous. We need to make a difference in this county. Clayton Norwood, you're right. The battle over the courthouse feels lost. The people voted against it, and they are proceeding regardless. It's sick. In 2018, over 70% of Rockdale County citizens voted no to a $140 million bond. And what does this Board of Commission do? Go behind our backs, get the local legislative delegation to give them a PFA, $110 million behind our backs. Then they do this to us. They go behind our backs and they get these funds, and they're going to do this anyway. Then we have on the ballot, we have ballot questions this past election. Do you want to build a Parker Road, Old Town? Do you want to build here, there? And the questions come back this way. People don't want to build a new courthouse in Rockdale County. We didn't ask the right question. The question should have been, do you want to refurbish and build on to the existing courthouse? People would have said yes. That's what they want. They don't want to build a new building. And that's what is apparent to me. I think what we should do, which we won't do, is the citizens of this county should be asked, do you want to renovate the existing building and do an add-on? And the answer will be yes. That's what the citizens want to do. They don't want to spend $100 million on anything. They don't want to spend $30 million on a new building. It may cost $20 or $30 million to do what we want to do with the old building, but they would prefer just to renovate that and do an add-on. And in the long run, probably would save money. So that's what I actually think we should do. But will we do that? No. And who knows? I mean, things could, with the economy and them, we know they're not fiscally stable enough to get the money to do it right now. They've told us that. Doreen Williams said this, that we've got to get this additional $6 million a year to show that we're fiscally viable enough to bond this project. So that means if they're having to put money aside through additional taxing now to show they're fiscally viable enough, that means we are not at this point able to bond this project. It's what I read in the tea leaves. It's what the tea leaves tell me, that at this point we are not in a financial situation that they are able to bond this project. So if we're not able to bond this project now, and we've got to build a little nest egg before that we've got, you know, we've got this uncertain economic situation for the next couple of years. Maybe we can hold out. Maybe they, you know, I personally think they'll try to get the bonding next year. If they do, it's a done. We're toast. But let's just say delays happen and they can't get the bonding, and we're going into 24. They don't have the bonding, and we have an election. I think we can use the election to pressure them not to do it. And then if we elect other people to post one and to the chairman, we can possibly head this off. But it's a long shot. We actually have to see what these clowns do between now and next year, as far as issuing bonds, and if they break ground and what goes on. I'll tell you this: if I would get elected chairperson and we haven't broken ground yet, we probably going to be in some lawsuits, because I'm going to stop some contracts and stop construction. Just telling you, that will happen. If you elect me, we're probably going to get into some lawsuits, because if we've not began to broke ground, and let's just say we've broke ground somewhat and there's a little bit done, we may stop construction at that point too. I mean, it depends on where we are in the process after that 24 election, what would happen and what decisions I would make as chairman of Rockdale County. Just to let you know, it's not off the table. There's always possibilities, and I would fight for you. But, you know, guys, let me look and see what time it is. It's 8:40. I have talked long enough. Really been slow goings in the county here the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, actually. I think some things will start stirring up here as we hit the election cycle comes around. And then after the first of the year, when these clowns start their activities up. So I just ask each and every one of you to stay tuned and stay vigilant. Pay attention to what's going on in this community. Watch shows like This Week from Rockdale and the TPS report and you know and Alex, when you know he talks about these kind of things. So we need to make sure that we're aware of what's going on. We need to make sure that the citizens are informed of the activities of this corrupt government. And I don't have a problem saying this government in Rockdale County is corrupt, because it is. It is very apparent that it's corrupt. If anybody in this chat thinks they're not corrupt, you tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you don't think they're corrupt, because I do. And that's one of the reasons I believe we need to reset Rockdale. Reset Rockdale. That's what we need to do. And with your help, hopefully I can start that movement to reset Rockdale. I want to thank you again for tuning in. I can't wait to see each and every one of you again this coming Wednesday on the midweek report. And I look forward to reporting to you and coming back again, talking about Rockdale County and what we can do to make Rockdale County a better place to live. Thank you and good night.